here's the thing. When we live from a place of fear of death, it actually creates a fear of living. It makes us live from a place of fear. When you fear illness, you fear the process of dying, not death itself. We are actually, what we end up doing is spoiling our experience of life. If you are fearing that not living enough, having regrets at the end of life, like as you near the end of life, at the point when you're dying, are you going to feel that, oh my gosh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that? And in fact, that's not a bad thing to feel, because the idea is really just to be who you are and do everything so that when you reach that point, you have no regrets. But the biggest thing is that when we fear death, it tends to mar our experience of life. So we're all going to die. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. We can't control that, and we don't even know when it's going to happen. The idea of getting over the fear of death is so that we can live life. And for different people, it would be, it would need different things, because we all have a different fear, different reasons. We all have different reasons for fearing death. I know people who fear death because they are religious. In fact, religious people fear death because they fear judgment. They always fear that they haven't been good enough. And in fact, in this room, we didn't have anybody who said that they fear judgment or they fear that they haven't been good enough in life. And so when they cross over, they fear that they'll be judged. Does anybody fear that at all, or not really? We have one. I've been in rooms of people where almost everybody has feared death for that reason, for judgment. Anybody fear karma? Reincarnation? Fear? You said you fear coming back and having to do it all over again. That would suggest that that it sounds tedious to you. You don't like the idea of living all over again, or is it just... So this in itself also suggests that it's this life. So my point is, when you are living in the present moment, when you are experiencing God, when you are loving your life in this moment, none of that matters anymore. None of that matters at all. And when I was living before I had the cancer, before I had the near-death experience, even before I ever had cancer, I lived a life of extreme fear. I was living a hellish life before ever having crossed over. And that was because I made every decision from a place of fear. So some of the things that I believe that actually alleviate fear is to realize or to know that we are not here to experience fear or to suffer. We judge ourselves, we are constantly judging ourselves and feeling fear that we're not good enough, or fear of the future. But when you're immersed in the present, I wonder if you can help me out with this, because I don't think I'm articulating it properly. But it really is about experiencing God right now, and I'm just searching for the words in this moment. When you know that there is really nothing, and I mean nothing, that you have to be or do, that is actually the state of bliss or peace. And when I say nothing, I really mean nothing. And the idea is for you to be in that state, or get or feel in that state, even after you walk out of this room, not just while you're here sitting with us, but to be able to access that state, what I call the get out of jail free card. That get out of jail free card is that state where we feel no fear. And one of the reasons why we feel fear is because we are measuring our future with our past. We are projecting our past onto our future. For example, if you see people suffering or dying, you immediately start to think, oh, that could be me, and you start to project and imagine. Or if you have had a diagnosis of an illness in the past, but you're well now, you still keep fearing that it might come up again. It's because we keep projecting our past into our future. If we can, I usually do an exercise in my workshops where I invite people to drop their backpacks, where I actually say to the group, I want you to imagine that you're carrying this backpack on your back. And in this backpack, there's this heavy bowling ball, like this heavy bowling ball that could weigh 15 pounds, 18 pounds, 12 pounds, different for everybody in this backpack. And you're all carrying this backpack. Now, the reason this backpack is so heavy, it's the accumulation of all the issues and trauma and troubles and problems that you've had in your whole life. It's all the fears from your entire life accumulated. And what's happened is every time you felt fear, every time somebody told you when you were young that you have to work hard to make money, money doesn't grow on trees, so don't spend it like that. Or if somebody tells you that you have to take care of your health is fragile, you can get heart disease if you do that. So now there's this fear that, oh, if I do that, I could get heart disease. So that goes into the backpack. And people tell you that you have to, if you have a biological clock, if you're a woman, you have to get married by a certain age or you won't have children. If you don't have children, people look at you funny and feel sorry for you that, oh, you don't have children? Couldn't you have children? So, okay, that's another fear. I got to get married by a certain age. Let's say you don't get married by that age. There's that fear, oh my gosh, I've gone past that age and I can't have children. So all these fears, they accumulate and you put them into this backpack. And as you go through life, this backpack gets heavier and heavier and heavier. So you're wearing this backpack on your back. And you're carrying it on your back and you're starting to like stoop from the weight of it. But it doesn't occur to you to put this backpack down. You don't even have the courage to put the backpack down because you think, if I put the backpack down, then, oh my gosh, then I won't be careful about my health. I won't be careful about money. I'll be broke. I'll be sick. And so you carry all these fears with you on your backpack. And so you live this life coming from this place of fear. And then you watch your mother or your aunt or your uncle or your grandma go through cancer. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is something that can happen to me. You know, we can get cancer and this is what it's like. And so so you start researching, how do I avoid cancer? I have to be really careful. I have to drink wheatgrass juice every day. And so that's another fear that goes in my backpack. And so you're going through life carrying all these fears and living a certain way. And what we don't realize is that it's the weight of the backpack that is the cause of the problems that we face in the world. It is the weight of the fears. It is the weight of the backpack. Literally at any moment, this is what the get out of jail free card is. At any moment, you could decide to put your backpack down and just stand up straight and walk through life feeling light and free with no backpack, with no fear of health, with no conditioning, no past conditioning. But many of us even feel fear about putting that backpack down because we fear, like, who am I without all that conditioning, without all of those layers of what I've been taught? Because will I suddenly start eating pizzas every day and get really unhealthy? Will I binge? Will I suddenly start spending all my money without being careful and be living homeless? And so this is why we don't put our backpack down, when in actuality, it's the other way around. If you put your backpack down, that's when you can experience the God self that you are. And that's when you would experience that actually we live in a place that's safe and free and liberating. And the universe, and again, I don't know how this works, but when you're willing to put that backpack down, the universe actually gives you everything you need so that you can be in that free state, so that you can continue to express yourself from that state of freedom of having let go of your backpack. For me, my near-death experience was me letting go of that backpack. And one of the reasons I talk about what happened to me, and I was telling that to Michael at breakfast this morning, and also to two of Michael's associates, that the reason I share what I share is because I truly believe it's attainable for everybody. I truly believe that. I just believe that people aren't being pointed in the right direction through our normal forms of education, the normal forms of upbringing. People are not being pointed in the right direction. And for me, I had to learn it the hard way. I don't think people need to die to learn it. They just need to know that actually holding on to that backpack, holding on to that conditioning and that fear does not make you a better person. It does not make you a safer person. It actually weighs you down, and it makes you sicker and more fearful, and that's what you bring into your life, because that is the person you take out into the world with you. The world gives you back what you take out into the world. So if you go out into this world as a fearful person, as a weighed down person, as a person who has to make themselves small, that is what you're bringing to the world. That's what you're contributing to the web. But if you go out into the world as someone who's free and expanded, who's let go of that backpack, that's what you're bringing into the web. And the web supports you in that. And the web will want you to be part of it longer and give you exactly what you need in order to continue to express in that way.